morning, traders. I'm Emily Bonney, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, January 16th. We are coming off a big bounce back in markets yesterday after big bank earnings, and the latest CPI print fueled positive momentum. The Dow surged 703 points, or 1.65%. The S&P 500 jumped 107 points, or 1.83%. The Nasdaq climbed 466 points, or 2.45%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are actually positive. We're up 0.03%, so it's flat to positive, which is good. We were up 0.2% earlier, and we've given back some of those gains after some of the earnings reports have come out. That's what's happened. Earnings reports are definitely in focus. I mean, Bank of America delivered a nice report. Morgan Stanley delivered a nice report. Taiwan Semiconductor delivered a nice report. UNH did not. That was not a horrible report, but it wasn't good. I mean, Taiwan Semiconductor actually reported really strong earnings, and they raised guidance, and they're very bullish on the call about the AI chip demand, and that it means something. This morning before the opening bell, markets are going to be paying close attention to the retail sales report plus the jobless claims data. Now, look at this. Target raised guidance due to strong holiday sales, this morning. So, you look at shares of Target this morning, and they're up big. I mean, Target shares are, what did I see them at? No, they're now down. They were up 3%. They was trading 133. Now they're down 0.76%. Interesting. Might be an opportunity here. Big issues ahead remain on the fiscal policy. We got to keep those. We got to keep that on our minds. I mean, the Republicans are doing have a lot to do with respect to their ambitions to execute their tax agenda and the tariff questions. I mean, that remains a pivotal factor for the market. So I'm really concerned on those upcoming issues, which we will know about Tuesday morning. Remember, Monday's a holiday. Treasury Secretary or pending Treasury Secretary nominee Scott Bessent, he's going to be quizzed today on policies and priorities when he appears before the Senate Finance Committee today at a confirmation hearing. That's something to keep an eye on. But let's take a look at Europe. Let's take a look at what's going on in Europe this morning. I mean, we're showing the DAX is up 63 points, or 0.31%. We're showing the FTSE up 47 points, or 0.57%. But the CAC is up 149 points. That's like 2%. France, that rally, it's really due to the strong gains in luxury stocks. There was a big, one of the big luxury stocks came out with earnings, and they said, hey, holiday sales came in well above expectations, which is, raising the tide for all the other luxury stocks this morning, which is why you're seeing the big gain in France this morning. In London, we're seeing some gains in mining stocks. That's positive. Germany, their consumer their CPI data came in at 2.6% for December, which was higher than November, but in line with expectations. So, that leads you to feel that the central banks are still on track to deliver rate cuts later this year. So that's positive for Europe. Then we're turning our attention over to Asia last night. And Asia generally did saw gains. Part of it was helped by the positive action in the U.S. markets. But, you look at the Nikkei. The Nikkei jumped 128 points, or 0.33%. The yen strengthened, which is good, but the markets remain a little cautious because guess what? There's that Bank of Japan a monetary meeting next week, and they are, there's a good possibility that they're going to raise interest rates. Hong Kong finished up 236 points, or 1.23%. You saw gains in property and technology stocks. Shanghai finished up 0.28%. Now, there's a lot of speculation because the media is reporting that the PBOC may make further cuts in rates to support the domestic economy. So, that was kind of a positive factor that helped boost the stocks in Hong Kong and, helped deliver a gain to stocks in Shanghai. Now we got to talk oil because, oil is like one of the most interesting trades. We're looking at oil. Oil is trading lower this morning. You got WTI at $79.56 a barrel. You got Brent at $81.56 a barrel. That's down more than 0.5% for both contracts. Yesterday, we saw a big gain. We saw a 3% gain, a 2.5% gain in oil. But this morning, you're seeing oil weaken. And, the recent move in oil prices has been due to the Russian sanctions that Biden has put on, because that really has propelled prices higher. But, here's my point. Russia has a history of acting aggressively and discounting its oil when hit with sanctions. China and India have been kind of refusing the oil, but that could be a negotiation tool. They have the opportunity to get Russia to lower their cost for their crude. And if they do that, they're going to be in a better shape. Are they really negotiating with these African countries? Because why wouldn't you negotiate with OPEC? You're negotiating with other African countries. It just seems a little odd to me. So, yeah, I think they will still do deals with Russia. And I think Russia is going to lower their price of oil, which could unwind this recent spike in oil prices that we've seen. So, hold on for some more volatility in the oil market. And that's my morning update for you today, Emily.
Bill, parceling through some of the stuff you said here, we're going to double click on earnings action, really starting to heat up here. A number of financial institutions have reported, and we're looking ahead to more of that. Definitely making market moves here in between all of this economic data. So we will get to earnings action first. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
We're starting off with Morgan Stanley, ticker MS, Michael Sam. First off, the stock's up 1.5% this morning. They delivered a beat of 53 cents on higher revenue. Then you got the Bank of America, ticker BAC, Boy Apple Charlie. They beat by 5 cents on higher revenue. It's trading flat. It's up, 7 cents. I mean, it was up more and then it fell down and was trading negative, and now it's trading higher again. One to be cautious on. United Healthcare, ticker UNH, Nancy Henry. They beat by 7 cents. However, the revenue fell short of what the expectations were. So, as a result, you're seeing, UNH fall by 3.57%. That was a little lower. I mean, but UNH trading a little weak because of the shortfall in revenue. And then you got Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, Tom, Sam, Mary. I mean, listen, they delivered a solid beat by 16 cents. They had a solid call. They spoke very positively on the demand for AI chips, and that stock is up 5% this morning in the pre-market. So TSM having a good morning. Upcoming tomorrow morning. Guess who's coming out? State Street, ticker STT, Sam Tom Tom. EPS is $2.37. Expected move is 4.41%. Then you got Fastenal, ticker FAST, Frank Apple Sam Tom. EPS is 48 cents. Expected move is 5.45%. Schlumberger, ticker SLB, Slob, Sam, Larry Boy, their EPS is 91 cents with the expected move of 4.16% when they release tomorrow morning, Emily.
A lot of action to be watching there, Bill, and you're using your NewsWare with your earnings alert to follow all of that. The other area you keep an alert for are the economic events. Plenty of reports. We're coming off 2 inflation reports back to back. We're looking at jobs data and retail sales today. More important gauges on the economy. So, Bill, give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Okay, let's talk about the reports coming out today. 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 hour before the opening bell. You got jobless claims. Expectations are for it to come into around a figure of 210,000. Last week they reported 201. So 210,000 is kind of the estimate. Then you got retail sales also coming out at 8:30 a.m. The expectations on the retail sales is for it to come in about up 0.5%. So that would be positive. And then, you also have the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index coming out at 8:30 a.m. and import-export prices. So those are the key ones coming out today. But you know what? Yesterday, we just got to talk about that CPI data because, that really took center stage and that really caused the market to really explode yesterday, have a large move on the upside. Now, the thing is that the headline came in a little hotter than expectations, which concerns me. But when I think of inflation, you got to look at the core because that's what the Fed looks like. And the core is 12 months. And if you remember last year, January, February, March, inflation was running hotter than expectations. So that kind of like camouflaged the trend. So the trend looks like it's moving lower because, the fact of the matter is the core CPI, the annual rate, came in at 3.2%, which is slightly better than the 3.3 expectations. And that's viewed as a positive indication for the inflation trend, remaining lower. Um, which gives you the indication that the Fed will continue to lower interest rates. And, that was supported by, the CME Fed Watch tool, where they actually increased their percentage chances for rate cuts for this year. So it is positive. I'm still cautious on it, but yeah, the inflation data was positive and the market did rally on it. So, as soon as you see that starts a rally, it's unlikely that it's going to turn midday. So yeah, you had to be buying tech. And that's what I told you yesterday, buy tech on a positive CPI reading. And, that's where we saw the gains yesterday, Emily.
And Bill, following that information and staying ahead of the markets, giving us advice pre-market yesterday ahead of that print is something you're able to do because you have Newsware and you're tracking the economic data, you're tracking earnings reports, but you're also looking at other market moving headlines. And you're really able to gather information for the trading day ahead, but also sort of being able to compile historical data. So you're aware of trends like that. Advice like buying tech ahead of the CPI print. And as with every morning, you're sifting through your Newsware, finding other pieces of market moving information, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings. You're also looking at your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just looking at I'm looking at the markets this morning, I'm seeing, 17 higher, 11 lower, the rest unchanged in the Dow stocks. Google's trading a little weak, Meta's trading weak, Tesla's trading weak this morning, but the other FANG stocks are trading higher. But there's a reason why, Meta and Google are trading weak. I mean, let's start off with Apple. Apple's showing a slight gain, 0.4%. They're said to be in talks with Barclays to replace Goldman Sachs as its credit card partner. Goldman Sachs is trading a little lower, but it had that big run yesterday, so okay, it's giving a little bit back. Amazon trading higher by 0.3%. They're said to be in agreement to buy an Indian firm, pay now, buy now, pay later firm. But then then you have Google and Meta, which are both down over 1%. Okay. TikTok plans to switch off its apps on January 19th. Now, this is considered to be a boom in advertising revenue because those dollars have to go somewhere for Meta and Google. However, Trump is exercising an executive order to avoid the U.S. ban of TikTok, which would allow it to keep running. So because he's thinking of doing an executive order to keep keep TikTok alive, Google and Meta will not be getting that additional revenue from the advertising, which is kind of built in, was kind of expected, and now that you're taking it out, you're seeing these stocks drop 1.5% this morning. So that weakness is caused by the TikTok news and Donald Trump. So keep in mind that nothing has happened yet, and it's still in play. So if there's extreme weakness, you might want to consider buying some because that could be an opportunity. Let's talk Netflix. For 1 second, ticker NFLX, stocks up about 1% this morning. Remember, Q4 earnings results are due next week for Netflix, NFLX. Tesla is offering its Cybertruck at discounts as the EV market gets crowded. That's why you're seeing Tesla drop a little over 1% this morning. Let's talk Dow Jones 30 stocks for a moment. NVIDIA chip stocks are moving higher after TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, points to strong AI demand. IBM, and L'Oreal enter a collaboration to leverage generative AI to uncover new insights in cosmetic formulation data. We're seeing some strong gains in Travelers Group as well because those wildfires in California seem to be kind of under control, but anything can happen at a moment's notice. In terms of merger news, I just want to point out, Goldman CEO, said yesterday that there's been a meaningful pickup in large cap M&A dialogue and inquiry. That could be positive. You could see some mega deals happening in 2025. Very, very, very possible. Let's talk guidance news. Target ticker TGT. Tom Gray Snob. They backed their full year 2024 adjusted EPS view of $8.30 to $8.90. Street estimate is $8.59. Taiwan Semiconductor TSM. They see Q1 revenue coming in $25 billion to $25.8 billion. The street estimate had it at $23.92 billion. That's a big uptick for TSM. In terms of shareholders meetings, Massimo, ticker MASI, they're going to be presenting today at that JP Morgan Healthcare Conference today at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
TFC, Tom Frank Charlie, Truist Financial Corp, Tom Frank Charlie. Listen, banks' earnings have been positive. You see that with Bank of America. You see that with what Morgan Stanley did and Citibank did and Goldman Sachs did and JP Morgan did. And Truist is in that vein, TFC. They should follow that trend. And, you look at yesterday's call volume, you get 13,662 calls traded versus 5,273 puts. Open interest is also positive. 111,084 calls versus 79,046 puts. I do like that. Now, Truist Financial is an S&P 500 stock, but it's not widely followed by the major brokers. But those that do follow it, they are positive on the stock. So, I expect this bank earnings trend to continue. I think TFC is going to show out some gains. But, this morning, you got to get an entry price. The spread is wide, 44.80 to 46. It's $1.20 wide. So, I think that a reasonable price is going to be 45.35, as I'm going to say, 45.35 as an entry price, somewhere around there, give or take 15 cents. But that's my entry price. TFC, Tom Frank Charlie, Truist Financial Corp. That's my pick of the day, Emily.
Going with a financial institution there, Bill, sort of on the back of those earnings reports. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day before we sign off to get to trading today. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Morgan Stanley's out there announcing firm-wide goals. Company is targeting client assets of $10 trillion. I see Bitcoin's closing in on 100,000 again. I don't trade Bitcoin. There's no value there. Hindenburg, short targets rise amid firms disbanding. They're closing up shop apparently. Jamie Dimon issued some red flags to the market and a healthy economy. I see that. I've been talking about the red flags all the time. I'm not saying the economy is not healthy. It is. It's just that there are warning signs, and there's always, when you always see warning signs, that's actually a good thing because that way you don't get too overly optimistic. China said they have a 1 trillion head start in any tariff fight. Yeah, I believe that. Lilly, ticker LLY, they got approval for their Crohn's disease treatment. That's nice. See, Gannett CEO, he's going to be presenting tomorrow at a sell-side conference at 9:30. Lululemon should, there's, I saw a story and it was talking about the retail stocks and kind of highlighted Lululemon, as positive action before the retail sales report. I don't really think that that's going to make much difference to Lululemon, but I do think they probably had a good quarterly sale towards the end of, with the holiday sales in December. Netflix, I see Netflix is getting some price target raises ahead of their earnings next week. Pearson's, a British education company, said that 2024 operating profit would rise about 10% after demand for its assets, qualifications, and English language learning courses helped sales grow by 3% in the year. Positive. DuPont, this is interesting. Last night they said that they're no longer intent to separate itself into a water business, their water business into a separate public company, but they are going to go ahead with the spin-off of their electronic business, ticker DD, DuPont. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off here on this Thursday, let's do a quick check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Salesforce, ticker CRM. Now, you made this call ahead of the CPI print. The bank earnings that had come out had been good. tech was looking pretty good yesterday, but was already seeing some momentum before the bell. The Salesforce had sort of sold off the day before on Wednesday, so you're hoping to sneak in there at a discount to then get a gain. How did your call work out?
I don't know how you want to call it. I mean, listen, when I made that call, the stock was bid at 224.11. And I was saying under 225. So it was definitely possible to get in under 225. But that's the immediate time when I'm making the call. And then the CPI report came out and the stock just jumped. It jumped all over. It was trading over 330. And I was like, man, it hasn't even hit the opening yet. And the stock's already up $8. So in that case, yeah, it did work. It was right, but it didn't hold that gain. And then it fell down. The stock opened up, at 229.88 and hit a high at 331 and then closed, at 321, which was, really weak. It's trading higher this morning. But that CRM, I mean, the call was right. You want to, tech was looking like it was going to explode, and it did explode yesterday. CRM did do it, but it didn't do it during the trading day. But after I made the call, boom, it was there. That's a hard one to call. I mean, I just the results happened, but it would have been, but not off the opening print because the opening print was just way too high after that CPI report, Emily.
And Billy, it was a good call. It did as you expected it to do, but it was just a little ahead of that opening bell. It was a chance for a gain there if you were able to get in. But either way, sort of a flat trade there. But we will check in with you tomorrow to see how Truist Financial Corp pick of the day works out. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.